All right. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm sure we're going to have folks continuing to join, but I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name is Jared Weston. I'm with GradLeaders Athletics. GradLeaders has been connecting students with employers for over 25 years, and I'm excited to introduce JJ Wilford, who's going to introduce some specific career opportunities for you with Amazon. You're also going to get a chance to hear from former student athletes Simone McGee and Bree Tai on their experience transitioning from college athletics to their current roles with Amazon operations. Before I hand it over to JJ, I do want to encourage everyone to make sure that they're on mute and to submit any questions that you have via chat. And we're going to carve out some time at the end of the discussion to address all of those. So with that, JJ, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, thanks, Jared. Before we dive in here, just want to, introduce myself and my background. So I'm currently located in Seattle, Washington, near Amazon headquarters. I went to the University of Washington and majored in finance and somehow made my way into a recruiter role with Amazon. So that's why I'm here today to talk about some of the roles we recruit for in the operations space. One thing I will mention is at the end of the presentation, as Jared alluded to, we will have Simone as well as Bree Tai share their experience as student athletes and then the transition they made to Amazon. So definitely stay tuned for that as well. So why don't we go ahead and dive in. All right, so Amazon's mission strategy is to become the most customer-centric company on earth. So if you're part of Amazon operations, you're really becoming central to what the company's goal is of providing customers access to whatever they want to buy online at the lowest possible prices. Also central to Amazon are its leadership principles, which now total 16. And these not only drive our work every day, but also drive our evaluation of talent. So these are the first 5 here. I won't go through each one. These are all available online as well. But I did want to highlight a couple of these, being the last 2. First, strive to be the Earth's best employer, where Amazon and its leaders want to go above and beyond to create a more diverse, just, and enjoyable workplace that fosters growth among its employees. And then the last leadership principle that was also recently added, success and scale bring broad responsibility. So this is to guide some of Amazon's efforts to have a positive impact on the planet as well as local communities. So I'll definitely share out a link with more information on these efforts, but one item I'll highlight here is just Amazon's climate pledge, which is to reach the Paris Agreement in 10 years ahead of time and become net carbon zero by 2040 and run on 100% renewable energy by 2025. All right, so this is the focus of today's presentation, the operations space, and it's the segment of the business that supports our consumers and our vendors. And the area manager role, which I'll talk about and I recruit for, is under the operations organization and an integral part to how we get our customers their packages in just that 2-day timeline. So as an area manager, you're really a jack of all trades, interacting with safety, HR, and other leaders within the fulfillment centers. In this role, you motivate, coach, and engage with your associates in addition to a variety of aspects, or in addition to driving innovation and process improvement within the warehouse. So you really get a chance to try your hands at a variety of aspects in the operations space. And that said, I think the most valuable experience you gain in this role are the soft skills that you get to develop by overseeing your team, which could be anywhere from 50 to 200 associates. So I know that that number sounds pretty daunting, but the training and job shadowing process that you undergo as an area manager really gets you set up for success in the AM role. Growth potential in this role can go a couple of directions. There are the vertical growth opportunities through operations where you can go on to be an ops manager who oversees area managers, and then a general manager who oversees the ops managers, et cetera, really all the way up the chain to becoming a director of several fulfillment centers at once. There are also some lateral growth opportunities you can pursue down the line if you're interested in other types of roles at Amazon as well. All right, so potential shifts. Amazon is a 24/7 workplace, so your potential shifts are not your typical 9 to 5, rather you're working 4 12-hour days on either day or night shift, and then 3 consecutive days off. And this diagram is the most common type of shift alignments, however it may vary by facility. But that said, your specific shift is fixed, so it's not gonna vary on you week to week. And then the shift you're assigned is going to be assigned closer to your start date. So our process, first step, pretty simple. You just got to apply. We're still working on getting all of our job postings ready, but I'll include a link to apply and a follow-up email to everyone as soon as those are posted. Qualifications. So for our full-time roles, we're looking for primarily seniors with projected grad dates between May 2020 and August 2022. We also do have some internship opportunities, which I'll share info on in the follow-up as well, but just really highlighting the full-time roles here today. For these roles, unfortunately, we cannot provide sponsorship, and you do need to be open to relocation, as well as working nights, holidays, and weekends. So the last piece, qualifications piece for the role, is just a passing score on the virtual job tryout, which is a main piece of that online application. So from there, you move on to the interview stage, where you complete 2 45-minute interviews with operational leaders from one of our fulfillment centers. This would be a behavioral-based interview where the questions are typically based all off of our leadership principles that I shared earlier. So behavioral-based interview question typically starts with either the sentence, "Tell me about a time when," or "What is an example from your past where," then you kind of fill in the blank with a question related to one of our LPs. So the idea is that we're getting you to draw from your past experiences, whether it be in the workplace, in school, on scholastic or on athletic teams, to tell a story that indicates how you might behave in a similar situation. Answering these questions can be simplified by following what we call the STAR format, STAR, where you first outline the situation that you're going to describe, then dive into the task which you're trying to accomplish, then state which actions you took to accomplish that task, and then finally the results piece, which is the outcome, and also helps to share some applicable data if you can, like, did you have any time savings by improving this process? What percentile did you finish in your class on a certain project? Those are some examples of some metrics you can include to really enhance the quality of your answers there. From there, if and when you pass your interview, you're then provided an offer within 5 business days that contains your salary, bonus, stock compensation, as well as a full benefits package. We do also provide a relocation stipend for those of you who are relocating more than 50 miles from the address on your application. So as part of that offer, you will receive your placement, which is, again, based on your locational preferences and business needs. So you definitely have a lot of say as to, where you might end up working for Amazon. All right. One additional reminder here, just because this is oftentimes missed on the application, just to try and complete your assessment using a laptop or computer. Your application will not show up as complete until this is done, so just want to highlight that fact as well. So what we're looking for, I believe the majority of folks on here are student athletes, which means you've probably been very busy throughout college and may not have had time to do as many internships or gain as much work experience as a lot of your peers. So whether that's true or not for you, be sure to highlight some of those skills you've learned as an athlete. We've listed out several of them here. But there's a lot of examples you can include, not only on your resume, but also talk about during your interview in those star stories. We've seen student athletes really have tremendous success in the area manager role, and that will be further highlighted by Simone and Bree's stories after the next couple of slides. But I think this is due in large part to these transferable skills listed out below. So definitely try and highlight those as much as you can. All right, before I pass it to Simone to share her path and then Bree to do the same, I want to provide myself as a resource for any and all questions y'all may have after the presentation. So I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat, so feel free to reach out with all your questions. Go ahead, Simone.
Right. Hi, guys. I'm happy to be here. So my name is Simone, as JJ said, and I'm going to kind of share my story with you guys in my journey from being a student athlete to now as part of Amazon. So a few years ago, I was in all of you guys' shoes, you know, senior graduating from Purdue University. So that's the college I went to. My major was sales management. And I was a part of the track and field team. My event was the 400 hurdles. I had a lot of success as a student athlete, and I generally miss it. But as a senior in college, as a student athlete, I knew that time was eventually going to come to an end. So my main goal was just to set myself up for success for after sports. And as a student athlete, you know, you get a lot of perks. So, you know, there's a lot of different career development opportunities that the Student Athlete Career Center hosts for student athletes most of the time. So I attended all of those, just trying to better myself, my interviewing skills, my resume, all of that. And then I also always went to all of the career fairs that were for the general student body at Purdue. So doing all those things, I ran into an Amazon recruiter who was at one of the career fairs. And I talked to them and they talked to me about the area manager position. So, you know, a lot of the things that they were saying about the position really resonated with me because the area manager position has a lot to do with kind of teamwork, being results oriented, you know, being coachable, and it was a true leadership experience and role. So I applied to that position. I took the assessment, I interviewed, and I was luckily able to get that position. And that I can just say that position really set me up for a lot of success in my career early on. And all of those transferable skills that I learned from being a student athlete were present in that position. So I was managing a team of about 30 associates, and a lot of what I learned from being just on a team myself, I utilized within that area manager position. Time management, you guys all know, being on time is very critical to your success as a student athlete. And you know how to manage your time really well, from, you know, study tables to eating to practice to school. All of those things are going to be transferable into the area manager position as well. And then I think mental toughness really comes into play too. You know, not every day is going to be a good day, no matter what path you take. So just having that mental toughness to get through situations and know how to navigate certain things really helped me. And then I think another thing that helped me be successful in the area manager position that you learn from being a student athlete is your work ethic. So, you know, you put in what you get out. So I knew I really wanted to excel in that position. So I put in the work. I really leaned on my peers who I saw were doing great in the area manager position, and I learned from them. So doing all those things, I was very successful in the area manager position, and I was able to be promoted within 1 year. So I think it's a great position starting out, especially for student athletes. So definitely take advantage of the opportunity because, you know, you guys have those transferable skills from being student athletes.
Thank you, Simone. That was perfect. All right, next we have Bree. So let me go ahead and switch over to her slide. All right, take it away, Bree.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me? Good to go? Perfect. Hey, so I'm Brianna Katai, I go by Bree. I'm a director of regional operations. So within my role, I run South Texas, Amazon Robotics. You all are probably like, what is that? Right? So it's our Amazon Robotics sites. So when you think about when you've seen robots and different pods that hold inventory, or when you order a phone case, whatever it may be, I'm the director of operations. So I have 5 sites in South Texas. So within spanning between Houston, San Antonio, San Marcos, Austin, and Waco. So super excited for that. So I'll talk a little bit about my path and how I wound up at Amazon. I'll tell you, if you would ask me 10, 15 years ago, no way I would have told you I'd be doing anything other than sports. It was like I'm playing until I can't play anymore, and then I'm coaching, right? And here I am. So wanted to just share my story a little bit with you all. My path to Amazon, I was a 4.24 college athlete. So I played Division I basketball, transferred to a junior college, ended up transferring back to another Division I school, and ended up finishing at a small NAIA in Tennessee, which is where I started my Amazon journey. So I started at IUPUI. I went to Mineral Area College, and then went to Robert Morris University, and then finished at Cumberland. I got my undergrad in business admin, and then my master's in sport and exercise science with a focus on leadership. So I shared a couple pictures down there, me in my prime. I definitely watch more than I play now. But I started with Amazon as an associate. So I mentioned I transferred quite a bit. I had an additional semester left, and I was like, I need a summer job, right? So I started working with Amazon and had some fantastic leaders and some really cool processes. And I had people who really impacted my life, which is why I wanted to continue to play sports and coach, and realize like I can impact and influence people at a wide scale. Some of our buildings, we have 4,000 people in them, right? Maybe sometimes more. And when you think about all the skills you gain as an athlete, Simone talked about it, right? Like I can't touch better on it than she did, but time management, managing through adversity, you know that you can't just get better in the games. Like you got to practice. Like we understand that as athletes. And all those things are transferable to what your role would be within Amazon. So I started as an associate. I'd never left the country before I worked for Amazon. So I'll tell you my journey. I started in Tennessee, got a chance to go to Georgia for a little bit, came back to Tennessee, and went and launched a building in Boston, Massachusetts. Got the chance to go to Australia for 3 months in an STA when we turned the website live there. Came back to the States and came down to Texas, which is where I am now, and then had the opportunity to go to Pacific Northwest. So I've worked in a lot of roles within Amazon, and I tell you, a lot of what I do and how I lead my team, it all goes back to sports. I was a point guard, and you build relationships, right? You emulate people who have done it well. You ask questions, you practice, you get better. You got to be strict on your guidelines. You have to understand where you want to go, how you're going to get there. And it's just a really cool opportunity. So when you think about what you want to do, you got to challenge yourself. Why do you want to do that? And I think you have the opportunity to do that. And that's what you do within an Amazon area manager role. So I'm here for any questions, but definitely wanted to share my story. Again, I love what I do. I absolutely love it. Again, I didn't think it was something that I wanted to do. And now I can think of myself doing something different, and I get to impact and influence a ton of people within my team. So please, I'm here as a resource. I know JJ is going to leave his information, but that was just a little bit about my journey and how I started with Amazon and how some of my skills have transferred over.
That was awesome. Thank you, Bree. And at this time, I will go ahead and open it up for some questions. So I think since we have so many people with us here today, if you could just drop your questions in the chat and we'll try and address them as we see them.
Hey, JJ, I've got one while we wait for questions to come in. How many area manager roles do you typically hire in a given year?
Great question. So for the previous year, it was just under 10,000 area managers is what the university team was aiming to hire for. And I think we might have done a little over hiring there. So, but it's thousands. There are thousands of roles that we hire for. So please know that, an opportunity is out there if this is something you're interested in. And yes, I see a message from Tony Yes, we do hire for interns as well. I'll definitely share out some resources on our internships with more information on what that looks like. So we do internships for sophomores as well as juniors. Then next, a question from Tayo. Yeah, so this would be in a warehouse. It's not a corporate role. It's through our operations department. So you'd be leading a team within the warehouse and overseeing those associates. So question from Terrence Hood, do you hire international student athletes? So the only requirement that might be an issue there is we can't provide sponsorship for the area manager role, unfortunately. However, there are some roles within Amazon that do provide sponsorship. So I'd encourage you to go to Amazon Jobs to try and find a role that would be a fit there. Yeah, so Diana is wondering about opportunities in software engineering and internships there. We have a whole different team that handles the more technical and corporate roles. They're called student programs, and I can share a link to their site, but unfortunately we just don't work very closely with them just because our roles are so different. But let me see if I can grab a link. I'll actually follow up with that link in the follow-up email as well. So for other opportunities outside of operations, you can check that out. Yeah, Lauren, great question. So we start our hiring or our interviews for 2022 roles. So the roles that will begin in 2022, starting in August, like mid-August is when our first interview sessions are. Job postings are going live soon, as I mentioned, so we'll definitely get those application links out. And then it's a hire ahead process. So basically you interview well ahead of time, and then once you get your offer, it's set for the future once you've graduated with your bachelor's degree. So we need the bachelor's degree in hand before you can start your role as an area manager. And then let's see, is there a employee resource group? I am not sure on that one. If it's, that's a good question, Tony. Simone, are you aware if there's a employee resource group specific to athletes?
So I don't think there's one specific to athletes, but I know we do have an employee resource center that's just a phone call away if there is anything that you would need in that realm.
Got it. Thanks, Simone. And then the finance development program or pricing analyst, yes, that would be part of the student programs. So the corporate group. Yeah, great question. So I think for this season, we will be hiring specifically for roles that start in 2022. So there would still be that delay that the earliest start dates would be in January if you're in graduate school. But if you're able to do your graduate degree online while working full time, we do allow you to, start since you have your bachelor's degree, if you're able to handle the course load for graduate school at the same time. No problem. All right, training. I myself have never been an area manager, but I recruit for them. Simone, the training, in my eyes, it's a lot of job shadowing, and it's a pretty involved program for several weeks, but feel free to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so it's about a 6-week ramp up. So as you just said, it's a lot of learn by doing. So you're going to be paired with a full-time area manager who's going to show you the ropes and all of that. And you'll essentially learn by actually doing the role and leaning on that full-time area manager for questions and concerns that you have. And then there's another portion of the training that's all done like online with trainings and assessments and things like that. That's more computer-based training.
Thanks, Simone. Let's see. So Ashley has a question about opportunities for international student athletes. Do you have to graduate with a specific type of major that is related to sales and business? Yeah, so for those who do not require sponsorship and are eligible for the area manager role, we do not recruit specific majors. All majors are welcome to apply. So definitely, a lot of opportunity there. As far as the other roles outside of operations, I can't really speak to those since I don't directly recruit for them, but they should have all the requirements listed on the job posting. Yeah, Tony, how open is Amazon to choosing locations? So once you're moved to the interview stage, you are provided the opportunity to rank your preferred locations. And then once you've passed your interview and provided an offer, we match one of your preferred locations with an opening or a business need. So it's kind of two-pronged in that way. So the earlier you apply, the more openings there are, the higher likelihood there is that you'll end up in one of your top preferences. So definitely want to encourage everyone to apply and interview as soon as you're able. Thanks, Tony.
While we wait for, if there's any other questions, I want to just throw out to Simone and Bree, what do you enjoy most about your role at Amazon?
Yeah, so I can go first. I think I enjoyed just having a team and feeling like I'm still a part of a team in the area manager position. Like I said, I managed about 30 associates and I really made it my job to make them feel like they were a part of a team as well. So I made it fun for them. Didn't make it feel like it was, so much redundant work. Since I knew how I thrived well in a team environment, I tried to create that same environment for my associates. So I would say that was my favorite part.
Great, love it. What about you, Bree?
Yeah, I'd say it's an easy answer for me. It's the people. It truly is a team, right? Like, you're not going to learn on your own. You're not going to get better at your day-to-day standard work on your own. And you get a chance to influence a ton of people. You have your particular team, but it's very similar to what you experience as a student athlete. Is like, you could be really great, right? But if you don't work with your counterparts, maybe your department as a whole won't be really great or won't achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So for me, it's the people. You really get a lot of flexibility to be yourself, right? And to lead the way you see fit while being able to be developed as a leader overall. And then there's a ton of resources to help you figure out what type of leader are you going to be, right? Because you don't know. You may not know, like, you have one idea that you're going to lead this particular way, and then you'll struggle with certain things, and then you'll do really well in areas where you're like, no way did I know I do that. So anyway, you get a lot of chance to interact with people, meet a ton of people, and really make a positive impact on people. And that's always been my favorite part.
Love it. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Bree and Simone. So a couple more questions here. What is the best way to bring a recruiter like myself to a campus or do a virtual session? So I provided my email up top. I know it's probably buried right now, so I'll post it again, but just reach out to me and we can get something on the calendar. Let's see. .com. And then cover letters. Yeah, we do not require cover letters, so don't need to draft one for your application. Again, it's just the online application and the assessment. So that kind of relates to the next question of, is the assessment going to be in the follow-up email? So that's part of the application. Once I have the links and they go live, I'll send them out, and you can just follow the instructions of the application. It should pull up the assessment at the end that you complete before it says that your application's been fully completed. Perfect. Looks like all for now. And if anyone thinks of questions after the fact, like I said, just feel free to reach out. I'm very accessible and on my email all the time. So give it a few more minutes though, maybe. If anyone has additional questions.
And I'll also be sharing a recording of this with everyone that's registered. And then JJ will follow up with some specific opportunities and links that he discussed here today. So be looking for that.
Yeah, I will also say we do have some other roles under operations recruitment outside of the area manager role. One is senior HR admin and the other would be workplace health and safety roles. So we don't hire quite as many folks for those positions just because there's not quite as many within the warehouse, but I'll definitely share some information and links for those as well if you're interested. Yeah, thank you, Terrence, for attending. Appreciate it.
Hey, JJ, real quick, would you mind sharing that stat that we were talking about the other day of the percent of?
Yeah, so just to highlight the fact how successful student athletes are and how great a fit this role is for them, I went back through all of the interviews or all the candidates who interviewed for us in the spring, and it came out that about 15% of the candidates were student athletes. So obviously that's a huge number compared to the general population of a school. So I was really excited to see that, just being the student athlete recruiter, that we're able to have that large impact on student athletes and on Amazon.
Yeah, that's impressive. Just speaks to the transferable skills and the fit there.
Yeah, and we're definitely growing the student athlete lane quite a bit this year as well, doing some active reach out. So as someone mentioned earlier, if you're interested in doing a session like this at your school, please reach out. We can get something set up very similar to this, or if you had something else in mind, wanted someone to come out in person, we're doing some travel as well, so we could discuss that option also.
All right. JJ, anything else for the group?
Not at this time. I think that pretty much covers it. Again, reach out with questions if anything comes up, but I want to thank you, Jared, for your support and allowing me to host this, and look forward to hearing from everyone in the future.
That sounds great. Appreciate you, Simone, Bree. Thank you for your time. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. Hopefully you saw it to be beneficial, and stay on the alert. I'll be sending a follow-up here probably early next week.